Good evening. I'd like to call the council meeting for October 2nd, 2017 to order. Please stand for invocation. I see Bobby. Bobby, if you do us the honor, please.
I'm going to ask everyone if they would, let's have a moment of silence for the persons in Las Vegas. You just never know where you are and what's going on with you, that something like that's going to happen. But let's have a moment of silence before I pray, if you don't mind. Gracious Father, we thank you for the opportunity to be here. We thank you, God, how you continue to watch over us and keep us. God, we don't always know why things happen and why things go on and why tragedies like what happened in Las Vegas happen, God. But we know you're still in control no matter what. We ask you, God, please be with all those families who had a loved one that went to this show and expected them to be home, and now they're not home. They're not with them any longer, and also those ones who have been injured and hurt. God, we ask you to continue to watch over them, keep them. God, we ask you to continue to watch over our community. Be with all of our first responders and persons who try to do the things they're doing to make our community better. Be with each one of our council persons here who continue to work hard to make sure we have a great community, a great place to live, Lord. Watch over them, give them what they need, give them the wisdom they need to make the decisions they need to make. Please bless all of our staff in our city. Bless our mayor. Continue to watch over him and continue to watch over all the persons who work tirelessly to make sure we've got a great place to live. Continue to bless each person that's present here today. Be with their families, be with them. Watch over them and keep them safe. We just thank you for another day. We ask it all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bobby. Have a roll call, please.
Councilperson White.
Present.
Councilperson Sestavny.
Here.
Councilperson Yan. Present. Council President Gill.
Here.
Councilperson Owens.
Here.
Councilperson Ellis.
Present.
Councilperson Samuel.
Here.
Let the record reflect 7 council members present. Councilperson Maples and Councilperson Hawkins are out.
We got minutes to be approved. I'm going to take them in order as it here is on our agenda. So the budget workshop for September 5th, 2017. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. I got the workshop minutes for September 11th, 2017. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Got the workshop minutes for September 12th, 2017. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to amend the workshop minutes for September 18, 2017
We're on 12.
at,
We're on 12. September 12.
are we on
September
12th?
12th, 2017 minutes.
The lunch meeting.
All right.
Motion to approve. Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Now we're at September 18th, 2017.
Motion to amend at 1 hour, 21 minutes and 20 seconds. I had asked the council during that workshop if we were going to take 1.28 million from the general fund for the Spring Street project additional appropriation for this meeting, and there was consensus with that, and that's not in the minutes, unless I'm missing it.
Okay, what order in the minutes are we looking at then?
Where at in the
Where-
minutes should that be
Yeah, we're
reflected?
at, yeah.
That's towards the end. I mean, they don't have timestamps on here. Yes, there was a motion.
Second.
I'm sorry.
Oh. I'm sorry. I thought you were for the amendment. Okay.
So-
No, I had you listen to the meeting
No,
minutes.
I didn't say it was a motion.
There wasn't a motion, there was just that, I think he wants it to be included that there was discussion about it.
Yeah,
Right.
I didn't say there was a motion.
Okay, what part is it at? Be more specific.
In the
Well, there are no
minutes.
time, in the minutes, there are no time, but it's towards the end of the meeting.
But
1 hour, 21 minutes, 20 seconds is where it was.
where does that fit?
Well, remember that I was adding up what an estimate of that number would be,
Right.
which is also, yeah, I mean, I think it was toward the end of the meeting.
Well, we have, would it be after where it says, Councilperson White said he thought the discussion for the new chapel project and Spring Chick project was already decided. Councilperson Samuel said it was, but they were throwing a curveball with the insurance going up as much as it's going to.
All right, well, here's an easy, so
No.
meeting started at 5, it ended at 6:45. So if we're looking at 1 hour and 20 minutes into the meeting, then it would be the last 25 minutes of the meeting. So it'd be very close to the end.
Right.
I can review and bring the minutes back, but as far as knowing where to put it in the minutes right now, I have absolutely no clue.
Make
As long as it's in the
Well,
minutes.
make motion
think
to
just-
table
No,
so she can add it
I don't care
to.
where it is in the minutes, as long as it's in the minutes. It's just a statement I made
I don't even know what exactly to put in.
that I said, I want to make sure that at our next council meeting, that we're going to have additional appropriation for $1.28 million out of general fund. That was my statement.
I make a motion to table and let her go back and put the Dustin's quote, Councilperson White's quote in the minutes.
Well, we already have a, but
You were-
you already have
so
a
we're still
motion and a
discussing.
second. Well, didn't you second his?
No.
It wasn't
Oh.
an actual motion, though. He was
Sorry.
referring to the
Oh,
motion
okay.
from the
He's asking
workshop.
questions.
Then, okay, then you have your motion, I'm sorry.
I'll second the motion. So the motion is to table and let them review the minutes and add it verbatim.
Whatever he said.
Yeah, sure, I'll second.
Okay, then we got a motion and a second to table the September 18th to have her go back and review the tape and insert it where it needs to be. So is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Now we are at the September the 20th, 2017, and that is our, did we do the, yeah, we did the 18th.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion, do I have a second for the September 20, 2017?
Second.
Got a motion and a second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And now we have for our regular council proceedings, the September 18th, 2017. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, any further discussion? Our regular council meeting,
It's not a workshop.
our last council meeting last month,
Yeah.
September 18th.
Oh.
You
Okay.
were present.
Yeah, I was just making sure I had the right paper.
Okay.
We had 2 minutes on the 18th, yes.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Can I have approval of the agenda, please?
If there are no changes, motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Claims to be approved. We will start with the general. I did review claims, and I got emails today that I got all that I requested, so I am fine with the claims. If anybody has any other questions.
Yes, we have general claims for $931,973.30.
Nobody has any questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve as submitted.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the claims of $931,973.30. Any other discussion, questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Parks, which I did see, there was a question in the edit ones from Security Pros that they did send me. The only thing is, Vicki did not get a copy of it and it didn't have all the signatures, but I'm not going to pull, I'm going to allow it on the claims because Bill Burns was approved in Parks Authority and he's aware of it. I talked to him this afternoon, so we're fine on that.
Okay. That total is $118,420.29.
And that is for equipment and service at the Worley Athletic
Yeah,
Complex.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the parks claim of $118,420.29. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Heather. Report of the clerk.
None at this time.
Okay, then we will move on to unfinished business, which is Heather, 2017 OR 66, an ordinance transferring certain funds within the same department that did pass in the first and second.
There's
Motion
been
to,
no changes.
Okay,
motion to approve on the final.
So moved, or second. My words tonight.
I got a motion and a second to pass 2017 OR 66 on third and final. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, motion carries. Heather, you are still up, and we are having a public hearing tonight. It's on 2017 OR 67, ordinance of additional appropriation.
And there's no changes since last meeting.
Okay, since there's no changes at this time, we're going to go ahead and open up public hearing. At this time, I'll officially open up public hearing. Is anybody wish to speak for or against this additional appropriation? Please come to the podium, speak your name and address for the record. Seeing none, I'll officially close public hearing, and I will entertain a motion for the third and final.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to pass 2017 OR 67 on third and final. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. We are going into new business, which we have with us tonight Julie Mormon. She is with the Communities and Schools.
Hi,
with the
thank you.
presentation. Thanks for coming tonight and letting us know all the great things you're doing.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. I want to introduce our board chair, Dr. Polly Hendricks, who's with me tonight as well. Just to give you, I know you've got a packet of information, a little bit about Communities and Schools of Clark County. We're part of the national organization, Communities and Schools, which is the largest dropout prevention agency in the United States. Our mission is to surround students with a community of support, empowering them to stay in school and achieve in life. We were founded here in Clark County in 2002. We started by serving 3 schools, and we're now serving 21 schools here in Clark County. In a nutshell, what we do is provide wraparound support for students both during the school day and out of school to help students that may be at risk, students that are living at or below the poverty line. So that's a little bit about what we do. In your packet, it explains some of our outcomes that we've accomplished during the 16-17 school year here in the city of Jeffersonville. So I'll just share some of those statistics with you. But 83% of students that we've served that have gotten tutoring from one of our Communities and Schools resource coordinators during the day have maintained or improved their report card grades over the course of the school year. We had 119 students in Jeffersonville who received counseling from a licensed Centerstone therapist, and that's during the school day. We contract with Centerstone to provide that mental health resources for students, whether they're struggling with grief, self-esteem, depression issues, anxiety, bullying, suicide thoughts, whatever they're struggling with, those resources. We also had 374 first graders. They got the free vision screenings that we work with local optometrists like Dr. Hendricks to provide that as a service to the school district. We had 140 students received academic assistance through our homework clubs and our in-school tutoring. And 67 students were part of our 3-2-1 READ program, which matches a community volunteer with a first, second, or third grader struggling with reading. And of those students, 72% demonstrated reading skill improvement. And that's not just a reading program, it's also a mentoring program, so there's another caring adult in their life. And every time that mentor meets with the student gets a free book for their own personal library, so just another benefit. And we also had 492 students in Jeffersonville that participated in our out-of-school programs, which includes 21st Century Community Learning Centers and extended day learning. And that focuses on kids that are struggling with behavior issues, academic intervention, and provides enrichment activities for them. We also provide all-day child care during fall break, which we're in now, during spring break, and also snow day, all-day child care. So for working parents, it's really a great benefit. We also bring to the schools in-school theater performances, free dictionaries to third graders, I-Step snacks, and Bare Necessities. And the Bare Necessities provides resources for kids, whether it's a backpack, school supplies, a pair of shoes, new winter coat. We provide free lice shampoo to the schools, just anything to help with those bare necessities. So that's a little bit about those statistics I've shared. But beyond the statistics, I want to share with you just a couple quotes that really tell our story of what we do. One is from a fourth grade teacher that shared with so many students it's hard for her to target the skills each kid needs, and a resource coordinator can take a small group out and help with that tutoring. And it's also about a volunteer in our 3-2-1 Read program who shared this is the most rewarding hour that you can share once a week in your life. And our story is about an adopted mom who has 3 sons in our after-school program who shared that it's been a wonderful experience. And this is not only a program for after-school care, we feel as if we're family. But the best stories, I think, come from our kids. A 2nd grader who wrote, "I read better now because of our help." And a 4th grader that said, "The staff really care about me and it means a lot." When we give out the dictionaries and we have the theater performances, we ask the students to write thank you letters. And a 3rd grader wrote this 3-paragraph letter and thanked us for her free dictionary, saying how she promises that she's going to take good care of her dictionary to pass it on from generation to generation in her family. So just some of the stories from kids. But the stories of our organization inspire us to want to grow, to want to serve more kids, and that's really what we bring to you tonight. With growth, there's always challenges and there's always opportunities. And so because we've grown so much, we've continued to seek out opportunities and to continue to provide support to the school district. This academic year, we're actually in Jeffersonville High School, both in school and out of school. And we're also providing in-school services at Thomas Jefferson Elementary and River Valley Middle School. So that's new for us during the school day. And the school district values our support and the partnership that we have, especially when it comes to providing resources that they may just not have the opportunity to provide. So on page 2 of your handout in your packet, I've given you kind of a snapshot of our financials so you know a little bit more about us. And one of the things that we have found from other communities and schools is that many of them get funding from their local governments. On the bottom of the page, it shares the example with Wayne County in Richmond, Indiana, and the funding that their local government provides for their services. And so just to give you a picture of what their funding looks like. But page 3 on the packet, the next page, really shows the economic impact of the opportunity to support communities and schools. So with that, for every dollar invested in communities and schools, $11.60 of economic benefit comes back to the community. And that's for taxpayers, businesses, students, families. Nationally, 99% of communities and schools case-managed students stay in school, and 88% meet or exceed their academic goals. So we have a strong history of successful grant writing, management of that, fundraising. We have an amazing board of directors, a dedicated staff, and we're reaching out to the community. We have tours that we're doing. I want to thank Councilman Matt Owen for coming to our recent tour and had a chance to really see what we're doing during the school day. And I would welcome any of you to come on those tours. We have a couple more scheduled in October, just to kind of get a picture of what it is we're doing and the difference that we're making. So with all that being said, we are requesting support from the Jeffersonville City Council. We're respectfully asking to consider a $25,000 a year contribution to our organization. And what that will do is create an economic benefit worth $290,000 a year for the city of Jeffersonville. It will also help support 250 at-risk students at Jeffersonville High School. And our goal with those students is that 220 will meet or exceed their academic goals, and 227 of them will graduate or attain a GED along with their peers. And it also would help create 2 full-time positions and also retain 80 part-time workers. It's very challenging to keep good part-time staff, as you all know from other businesses. So this is a little bit about what we're about, and we're just looking for your commitment to the students here in Jeffersonville to help us provide the services and expand and grow from here.
What schools did you say that you're in again in the city of Jeff?
In the city of Jeff, we're in Thomas, I could list them all. There's 8 elementaries we're in 2 middle schools, and then Jeffersonville High School. So
you're in both Parkview and River Valley?
Yes, ma'am. And River Valley we're in the daytime, but Parkview we're in the after-school program. Yes.
I used to do the 3-2-1 Read program.
Oh, great. How was your experience?
It was good.
You can come back anytime.
I had the time, believe me.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. Appreciate your time. Any other questions that you all have for myself or our board chair, Dr. Hendricks?
Anybody have any questions?
I just want to encourage everybody, if you have the opportunity to take one of the tours, the tour I took part in was at Wilson Elementary, and it was interesting to see how they have an immediate impact in the classroom on a daily basis, before and after school. It's pretty remarkable what they're able to do, and to have the benefit on the students that they have. Just in that elementary school, letting a student who may not have all the advantages of others, just having that support of one person coming in once a week, that student knowing that they matter to that person who's a complete stranger, I think that's invaluable. And when we talk about, I'm stretching here a little bit, but not really. When we're talking about workforce development and building up the future generations to take on and grow the community, it has to start on this very, very elementary level, so that students know that they're valued. And you all do a remarkable job of that.
Well, thank you, I
It's very
appreciate
clear
that.
from the
And if they don't make it to
tour.
5th grade, they're not going to make it to 6th grade. And if they don't make it to 6th grade, they're not going to make it to high school, so.
And I really
Thank you.
appreciate that your organization has measurable outcomes, and you can say, with certainty what impact you're having. When we consider funding outside organizations, I think those measurable outcomes are extremely important.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And thank you so much for your time today and for this consideration. We're very appreciative. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we got Mr. Merkley, ordinance for appropriation and tax rate, which I think this will be OR 67.
I will defer to Adam. All the things back to OR 68.
You don't want to take this one?
OR 68. As his lawyer advised me to hit on this, because he pretty much.
Heather, you have the floor.
All right. This is the budget that was discussed on the 20th, I think was the last time we discussed it. The changes, haven't made any changes yet today, so
This is the budget. that
actual public
full-time
hearing.
Administration reflects changes the council has made up to this date.
Yes.
We have had public hearings, we are required to do that. The budget is adopted by November 1st.
Yes.
It can be changed.
And because we don't have certified net assessed valuations, the adopted levy and the tax rate are higher, and that's to make sure that we capture all of the levy.
Okay.
Are there any questions? And go on with the public hearing.
So this includes, this is the budget that reflects the 511,702 deficit.
Yes.
Is there any other questions before I open up to public hearing? Okay, at this time, I'm going to open it up to public hearing for the ordinance for the appropriation and tax rates on the 2018 budget. Is there anybody who wishes to speak for or against? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Well, nobody. I'll officially close public hearing.
Make a motion to approve 2017 OR 68 on the first reading.
Second?
Got a motion and second to pass 2017 OR 67 on the first reading. Any further discussion?
Yes.
I think it's 68.
68? I'm sorry, 68.
Yeah.
All right. I yield.
Just going to say that I will vote in favor of this tonight with the understanding that we are going to meet several more times before we see this again.
Okay.
I'll be voting against. And we talked prior to this meeting about some of the reasons why. I don't feel like I have to go down the list again, but there is a list of reasons why. And hopefully we can work to mitigate some of the issues, I think, that are encompassed in this budget.
I, too, will be voting against this. We received a revenue-neutral budget from the administration. And we've managed to today arrive at a budget that is $511,702 in the hole. And I will not vote to move it forward. If we need to have special meetings before the drop dead date of November 1st, then that's fine, and that's what I signed up to do. But I will be voting no because we've managed to take a good budget. We've managed to take a good budget and create a deficit budget.
And just for clarification for the public, what has changed is seems to be difference in opinions where we've got our health renewal back from Humana, which was recommended to us that it would be 6.8. And I think there is a discrepancy in how to either budget for that or partially for that. So just so that weren't here for the workshop, that there's an understanding of why there's a change in the budget from when the administration submitted this budget to us and what's happened to this date. So is there any other further comments?
Yeah, I guess I should go down the list since we're going to talk about it. The budget that was changed in a workshop that I couldn't attend reflects performance increase pool, which is our employee raises. All of that was wiped out, and a blanket 3% raise was given in spite of any type of performance evaluation, which is what we've encouraged in the past. We're $511,702 over our estimated revenues, which is not in line with how we've acted in the past. $100,000 was cut from the police overtime budget. Just approved a new contract that gave raises to the base and raises to our shift differentials and raises to our rank structure. And then we cut overtime, which all of that is going to have an impact on. There was discussion at our last meeting about adjusting the revenues so that it looked balanced. I don't agree with that. I've voted against that in the past. And then there was talk about, reducing from $800,000 in insurance, to $600,000 or $500,000 or something like that to help it balance out. And that just seems contrary to everything that has been pushed thus far. So for those 5 reasons, I'll be voting no.
I'll just make a comment that I agree with a lot of what you're saying. Historically, there's been council precedent that even if we disagree with maybe some of the wording or components of an ordinance, knowing that it takes 3 readings to pass something and to further the process, that we may vote in support so that we can continue the discussion. So that is why I'm making the action, knowing that there are a lot of things I don't agree with in this budget that I will be bringing in our workshops and potentially at our next meeting to be recommended to amend the budget that's before us. So that's where my position is.
Make a quick comment. It's a work in progress, as it usually is. This is the motion for the first reading, so it's not a done deal. Things change, and I'm sure this budget will change, and we'll make the adjustments we need to make. One quick comment is the administration, for example, gave us a balanced budget before we knew what our new health insurance costs are estimated to be. So it's not balanced if we use that figure. So it's a work in progress, and I'm going to vote for it. I'm sure this is not going to be the end result. I'm not sure what it's going to be, but we'll spend the time to do the best we can and come up with the best budget we can.
I would just add that this health care figure that everyone is referencing, the request was $6 million, and and that's based on an estimate. We have no idea. The costs are unknown. What we have done in the past, and what we did this year, as a matter of fact, was once we saw the trends and realized that we needed additional money, then we did an additional appropriation. But there is not a known $6.8 million cost. It's an estimate. And so I feel comfortable with the $6 million request of the administration. I think that's where we should stay until circuit breakers come back and until we see the trends and realize we need additional revenue, additional appropriation. I have nothing further.
So we have the motion and second. There's no further discussion. And it's all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Call vote.
Councilperson White,
No?
Councilperson Sestavny,
Yes.
Councilperson Yon,
Yes.
Councilperson Owen,
No.
Councilperson Samuel,
Yes.
Councilperson Ellis,
Yes.
Council President Gill.
Yes.
Five to two. 5 yeas, 2 noes.
Motion carries. Thank you. We've got Ken Calabro, an ordinance amending the 2017 OR 60, amending 17 on it for the fixing the salaries of appointed officers and employees for all the departments of the city of Jeffersonville. I will turn it over to you.
Okay. I'm here to present proposed changes to the 2018 salary ordinance. This proposal reflects changes to initial staffing requests from the department heads and is based on the council's most recent decision regarding new positions. Please be aware that Human Resources, in conjunction with department heads and administration, supported the initial request of new positions. As always, HR performs a job analysis and works with a third party to determine appropriate education, experience, and ultimately pay levels of new positions, as well as evaluation of existing jobs. The initial recommendations for additional staffing was given deliberate discussion. As the city continues to grow, so do the needs of the departments. On numerous occasions, I have offered to discuss these recommendations with the council, however, was not asked to participate. I believe I could have clarified and alleviated some of the misinformation that was conveyed at recent council workshops had I been asked to present the findings. I'm hopeful that in the future, Human Resources can assist in facilitating discussion between council and department heads with regard to department staffing needs. Going forward, I would like to discuss with the council at a future agreed-upon date recommendations on adjustment of pay grades. As you recall, recommendations were made and deferred last year. Continuing to overlook the recommendations will further negatively impact the current pay structure and have long-term negative consequences if continued to be ignored. The majority of the future changes are to the positions the city has found to be difficult to fill with quality candidates or positions that are out of alignment internally or with the market. Hopefully, a meeting can be scheduled in the very near future in an effort to preserve the data and compensation calculations. Additionally, as some of you know, HR was given the task of managing the salary ordinance several years ago. In order to properly and accurately maintain the salary ordinance, communication regarding potential requests for change should come directly to Human Resources. Simplistic on the surface, changes to the salary ordinance requires updating job descriptions, changes in the HIRS system, changes in the Kronos payroll system, update of the pay grade, and reassignment of general ledger numbers and potential evaluation for Department of Labor, to name a few compliance issues. I respectfully ask for the council's direction on whether I, Human Resources, are to continue to maintain and update the salary ordinance, or if the council wishes to proceed in a different direction. So, and with that, I have the 2018 proposed budget, salary ordinance. So,
Calabro.
yes, sir.
Did Council President Gill speak with you about the pay grade recommendation for the Director of Planning and Zoning?
Yes, sir.
And was there any recommendation for that?
Yes, there is a recommendation, but there are multiple recommendations, and we spoke with Ed and Les Merkley, and basically decided with the culmination of all the other recommendations that it was probably in everyone's best interest to have all those conversations at once, because that is one of several internal recommendations, and we felt like it was not prudent to single out one person, particularly department head, to make that change without having that discussion in a workshop with not only the consultant, but with all the internal recommendations for potential movement.
Okay, so we should expect to have a workshop where the consultant will be here, and she can give explanations.
Yes, Christine and I are finishing up with the consultant actually this Thursday. She was out of the country for a month. I was off on some medical leave with a spouse. There have been multiple things that have prevented us from being able to have that presentation prior to the budget workshop, and once we kind of got into it, particularly with some of the things that President Gill and I have talked about with our entry-level positions and particularly our CDL drivers and the movement with them, we really had our consultant do a lot of extra work and a little deeper dive into looking at that data to make sure that it was accurate. So there's a lot of information and Pretty much the discussion with both Ed and Lisa and the city attorney was that everything that you all are doing now with the budget and the salary ordinance was probably more than anybody could kind of be palatable right now without having to go down that path of compensation.
Thank you.
Does the salary ordinance have the same drop dead date of
Yes.
November 1st? Awesome. Would the administration and/or human resources be more comfortable tabling this until we have those discussions, or what is your recommendation?
Our recommendation would be $1,000.
Get it moving.
Keep it moving?
And again, this reflects what is in the budget.
Yes.
What we just,
Yes.
which I
This is
voted
OR
against.
69?
Right. But so what happens if you don't pass it on the first reading, then all of a sudden you yourself in a pretty tax where you gotta pass it all at once.
Or we schedule
Or
more
have a
meetings.
special meeting.
But I'm just saying, you could move it along.
Ms. Calabro, you mentioned, your frustration with changes, and I guess when we have budget meetings, almost every budget meeting, we talked about salary positions and requests and made changes. And I don't know, you're welcome to come to every budget meeting, I guess, because that's the big number. I mean, salaries are the biggest line item in the budget. So I don't know how you get around the fact that there's going to be some changes in the salary, the positions and the salary when we're having those budget discussions.
Right.
So sorry for the inconveniences, but it's just a
No,
natural.
that's fine, and Les
it's
and
a
I have talked
natural
about that, and Heather and I probably will start kind of accompanying her to all those. But watching the workshops and then hearing some of the conversations were like, I think I spoke with you a little bit about that, that there was some misinformation or maybe misunderstanding, and then I was asked to put together a list of all the requests of what the true changes were, and I made an offer then I'd be available at any meeting, and I just,
And I know in previous years, previous councils and budgets, we've gone department by department and had the department head available to answer questions and to ask questions and go back and forth, and that's the direction we've been going the last year and this year.
Right.
And so sometimes it causes some of these, I guess, frustrations in
And
between.
that's why I made sure she sent out all of the job descriptions and let us know which ones were new positions, which ones were kind of moved around. And
I guess, too, the important thing for me is to make sure that everyone recognizes and understands that we don't have department heads or human resources just randomly coming up with names of positions and deciding. I mean, there are a lot of things that are discussed, from in my office or with department heads that never even make it to the request table, or never make it to the budget, that, through discussion, like, no, that's not appropriate, it's not needed. I mean, there is hours and hours and hours of conversation. So by the time HR and the administration actually gets that to the budget, there have been a lot of conversations, not only internally, and there are a lot of conversations that happen internally before we ever even get to the point of sending it to the consultant to say, hey, take a look at this and tell us what you think. So hopefully everyone understands and recognizes that as well. And again, to your point that you said earlier, I mean, I think we need to be working together to try to make this successful. So, and I appreciate your comments that you made. So with that, you want to move on? All right, page 2. Under the building commissioner, and they should all be highlighted if you had a colored printer, but under the building commissioner, that's been changed from 85% of his salary will come from the general fund and 15% from the building authority fund. Under drainage, they're going to be adding 1 heavy equipment operator. And my understanding is that's already been approved by the drainage board.
That's correct.
On page 3, the base pay for fire rank. Page 4, this gets a little tricky in the Parks Department, so I apologize. And Bill, hopefully, if there's any questions. Paul's going to be going from 11 general laborers to 10. The green space landscape crew leader is a new position, but somebody who actually is currently working in another position is moving into that, so there'll be a little bit of a pay increase for that person. And then part of the money that he has taken away from general labor goes towards funding that position. So these are mostly just retitled positions. Then there's the green space mowing crew leader, which is currently a person that we already have employed, and that's just a title change. And the same with the maintenance crew leader. There'll be one of those instead of two. We're just kind of cleaning up the names to try to give that dedicated title to green space versus the parks. And then the public arts administrator is being moved from Parks Department to the engineering department. The recreation program and aquatic center manager, that's going to be 100% funded now, I guess, out of the general fund.
The Parks General Fund.
Parks General Fund.
Right.
And the trolley driver, that might be a little, I think you all discussed that at the last meeting as well, but we currently have been paying a trolley driver on a claim, and to make it cleaner without having to do a 1099 and find somebody, that's going to be a part-time position. The money already exists in a budget and a line item. Paul's going to move that, I guess, to a different line item. Just a generic part-time, so. Under the Parks Non-Reverting Fund, the Recreation Program and Aquatic Center Managers are being removed since they're going to be paid 100% up above out of Parks. The Planner 1 Long Range Planning, that's the same person but a new title. Police Department base pay is based upon their new collective bargaining agreement, as are the percentages under the base pay. You look at the 25%, the 20%, and all those that go down. That's based strictly out of their contract. The engineering department has requested to retitle their department to Public Works and Engineering. And the public art administrator will be moved under Public Works and Engineering. Under vehicle maintenance, we have a fire apparatus mechanic. On page 6, under wastewater, we have the addition of a safety specialist. And then under wastewater collection system on page 6, what Mr. Ashak has decided to do is he is going to be cross-training his CCTV operator, sewer inspectors, and the collection system utility workers. They're all going to be cross-trained, and we have retitled that job as the collection system operations and maintenance technician. So we're merging those 4 separate into a total of 8 collection system operations and maintenance technicians, and have tweaked that job description. Then that way there's not going to be the issue of trying to figure out who's on call, who's not, and things like that. So,
Kim,
Yes,
one
sir.
question. Going back up to the safety specialist,
Mm-hmm.
is that for like the OSHA, kind of like what Amir does?
Primarily, yes.
But this is just for
primarily
wastewater.
given, and there's somebody internally that I think they're looking at possibly moving into that position. I'm not real sure what the end result's going to be, but yes, primarily because of the number of construction projects that they're doing, and given the nature of what Amir's involved in, can't always be there on site when they're doing the construction projects. So, and you should have, I've sent out all the copies of the job description, so you should have had that. And if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. Under wastewater construction, still on page 6, wastewater will be adding 2 construction utility workers, so they're going from 2 to 4. Any questions so far? On page 7, we just removed that last sentence under section 2B that refers to the FOP contract, and you'll see in a minute where we kind of added that back in to reflect the language that they have in their contract. So on page 8 at the top, it says certification licenses equipment allowance, because that's what it is referred to in their contract as equipment allowance, since it's not just uniform. So we added police equipment allowance, $1,600 annually, field training officers, $1,000 annually, shift differential, there's the base plus 3.50% on second shift and 2.50 for third shift. And again, that's in their contract.
Did we do that last year in the last contract, or is this new?
These are new. Well, last year it had If you look back on page 7, we just had their clothing allowance.
Yeah, but the shift differential is new.
They've had the shift differential, was that in your previous contract?
It's just increased.
We're just kind of, anything in what Christine and I did was went through the contract, anything that had to do with salary and payment,
Okay.
with compensation, we wanted to be sure and capture that in, and it seems like every time we look at it, there's one more thing we find that like, well, why didn't we think about that? So that's kind of one of those, but they did title it equipment allowance this year. And then under the board services, the building authority board is $100 a month, and the building authority secretary is $100 a month. No changes on page 9. And then on page 10, this is new to the FLP contract. Per police collective bargaining agreement, detectives shall receive $75 on weekends and on city designated holidays on which they're assigned on-call duty. And then we just cleaned up the Empress statement because it didn't seem to read correctly, so. Any questions?
Motion to approve 2017 OR 69 on the first.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to pass 2017 OR 69 first reading only. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Thank you.
West Merkley, an ordinance changing the zoning map destination of a certain tract of property located at 4305 Charlestown Pike and fully described in attachment exhibit A from going from an R2 to a C1.
This matter comes to you from the Planning Commission with a favorable recommendation. It is to rezone property that's currently R2 to C1, so we'd be going from residential to commercial. This is on Charlestown, out by the Worley Soccer Complex. If you know where Coronado Stone is, this is property would be across the street from Coronado Stone. Jeremy Ward is the applicant on behalf of Coronado Stone to rezone the property at 4305 Charlestown Pike. And then the request would be, if that's rezoned, there's going to be a lot of other hurdles they'll have to jump through because they're wanting to build a showroom there on that property. Very little of the property is buildable because it's in a floodplain, but they would have to come back before Planning Commission to receive approval for a development plan. So this is just to rezone that to commercial so they can have a showroom on the property, and this is a public hearing.
Anybody have any questions for Ms. Merton before I open up the public hearing? Okay, at this time, I'll officially open up the public hearing on 4305 Charlestown Pike with a zoning change going from an R2 to a C1. Is anybody here to speak for or against? Seeing none, I'll officially close the public hearing. And if there's no further questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Was there, Mr. Merkley, was there no opportunity to seek a special exception in an R2 for a showroom? I'm looking at the ordinance and I'm not seeing it, so I'm assuming not. But
Motion to approve 2017 OR 70.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to pass 2017 OR 70. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Heather, an ordinance transferring certain funds within the same department.
We have a few here from the police. I'm not sure if you want to speak for those.
Evening, everyone. Joe Hubbard with the Police Department. I'm here on behalf of Chief Kenny Cavanaugh to request a transfer. We're here requesting no additional monies or no appropriations, just a transfer of monies on money that was, we had a few officers leave the department, and the time it took to get new officers hired to cover them, we had some money left over, so we're going to use that money in other avenues so we can purchase mainly what we're doing is we're purchasing a quick response vehicle, especially in light of the recent activities that happened in Las Vegas. We feel this is a very advantageous for our department because we are looking at, we're constantly always improving our response times, and we are building a response team up that we would like to have for the city. And we need a vehicle that we've been trying to get for a couple of years now, but this allows us an opportunity to do that without having to ask for any additional money. The transfers that are being requested from the police pension fund, it's going to be $75,000 into vehicles. Also from the police pension fund, another $20,000 into uniforms. Also from police pension, $35,000 to equipment, and a $20,000 transfer from equipment to contract services. You've had to answer any questions if you have any.
Major, taking this out of police pension still allows you to fund the obligations that we have in reference to the new contract, right?
Yes, sir.
We're still good with all our new...
Yes, sir. All the budgetaries are still there for the new hires.
Question, this may be for Heather instead of Joe, but either one. I was thinking that the pension dollars are based on a formula of our employees who work in there, and that's how we come up with that number. I believe our budget was close to $900,000 for last year. We carried that same figure forward to this year, and for 18. I'm sorry. My question is, there's $130,000 here that we didn't need.
Yes.
Will we not need that next? Do we need to budget $900,000?
This is monies because they had some time that they did not have a full staff. So hopefully all of your hires are going to be hired by the
for
end of
next
the
year. It's already been budgeted to
100%.
cover all that. As I said before, this was extra because we had officers leave the department, and from
It takes
the
months, doesn't it?
and from the time it takes to when an officer leaves to the time it takes to hire them, going through the merit commission process of hiring someone to get them on the street, this was the money left over from that time period.
So for 18, we will need the full 900.
Yes.
Thank you.
I mean, that's like...
What's the contract services, the 20,000? Just curious, what are your plans for that?
The contract services paid for some legal fees.
Any further questions?
Is this like so from 130,000, if their total is 900,000, that's like an eighth of the pension fund, is that correct? Does that mean that an eighth of our officers left? Am I interpreting?
I'm sorry, I
that?
can't hear your question.
I guess it's more a question for Heather, like...
The percentage that is contributed decreased from when the budget was approved last year. So we used to pay 25% or something like that for the pension, and now we pay 22.5%, somewhere in that area.
So that decreased
So
as
that
well
was
as
some of the
office-
savings, yes.
So this is the savings that we contemplated in the contract?
Yes.
And is that
And they
change in-
also had some employees that, or some time there that
Okay.
was not fully
That
staffed.
makes more sense. So we are reflecting the 22.5% in the next budget?
Yes, for a fully staffed
Okay,
department.
thank
yes.
you.
Motion to approve 17 OR1 on the first and second, I'm sorry, OR 71 on the first and second.
Second?
I got a motion and a second to pass 2017 OR 71, the first and second reading. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Heather, we got an ordinance of additional appropriation, which the public hearing will be at our next meeting of October 16th.
Which one do you want to do first? I know there's going to be discussion about
The one that has the edit council transfer.
Okay. That 260,000 was to go to the sidewalk fund. And then vehicle maintenance had a couple that they needed some more supplies on. Motor vehicle supplies and other supplies.
The 260 was
The
Going to-
unappropriated
right,
balance.
going to the sidewalk fund for,
Yeah, that
Yes.
one fund that we set up.
right, and that's,
For the new chapel project.
Is
okay.
it not 360?
I was thinking because we have the 1 million out of the general fund on the next appropriation, that the 260 was making up the difference between that 1.26.
That's what it was.
I
And
thought
the
it was
1
1.28.
Wow.
So, yeah, I don't know. I know on the million, I think I may have heard incorrectly on that one, so that may need to be
Yes.
adjusted.
Okay. So we can adjust that
Well, yeah.
in a minute.
Do you have any further questions for Heather? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'm sorry, so this is I might not have the most recent 12 line, but it has 360 here.
For the edit fund?
Oh, that's what it is. Okay, I'm good. Continue.
Then I'll entertain a motion.
I was looking at general fund, which is 360.
So the 260 is going to the sidewalk fund for New Chapel. Where's the balance? I thought we were putting the New Chapel in next year's budget and appropriating Spring Street out of this year's reserves.
That's where I may have been mistaken, so
Okay.
I need to go back and re-watch the video.
I honestly don't remember us talking about
I don't remember pulling
funding the
anything.
new chapel just yet, so.
I thought we were going to see kind of where the numbers fell for next year, but
Right. I just want to make sure we're putting it in the right place.
Right, I would love
$250,000.
for clarification on that, yes.
Well, but it is going in there's one fund, so it's going in the right fund, correct? It's
There's a
just one
sidewalk
separate-
fund and there's a Spring Street implementation fund, so there are two separate funds.
Right.
But I can, before the next meeting, I'll go back and
Verify.
re-watch that video.
Okay.
Lots of people watching that video.
I know, it's going to get a lot of hits.
Oh, my goodness.
so popular.
NFL game and having the replay call.
I come out more confused than when
Yeah, there was a lot of discussion, so I could have very well heard wrong.
So do we need to table both of these until the next?
I would do it on the first reading.
I'm okay on the first, we just need to make sure we're putting things in the right place. So I make a motion to approve 17 OR 72 on the first.
Second?
Got a motion and a second to pass 2017 OR 72 in the first reading only. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Heather, we have an additional appropriation, which we will have a public hearing on this also on our October 16th.
And I know there
2017
was
meeting.
some discussion earlier about that this may be the incorrect amount, so if,
But the advertisement hasn't gone out yet.
Correct.
So
I
if
can
we
change it.
adjust this, we just got to make sure we advertise right.
yes.
So, yeah, so I thought we had the 1.28 coming all out of the general fund,
Yes.
Yes.
not out of edit.
Exactly.
So I still am not sure what the 260 is.
I don't either.
So we can get clarification on
Yes,
that.
we will, yes.
But I'd like to make a motion to amend 17 OR 73 to reflect $1,280,000.
Second?
So I did have a second, correct? Motion and a second to amend 2017 OR 73 to adjust it from 1 million to 1,280,000.
And I'll just make a comment that increase is in order for us to pay for the entire design for the entire Spring Street project, so that when we are ready to fund phases 2, 3, and 4 of that project, we aren't paying extra for having to design those phases. So that's the logic behind it.
Right.
And then we just have to make sure that we advertise.
Yes.
And just point of clarification, I thought in our last meeting that we discussed that and it was agreed to do the million. I thought we specifically talked, which one do we do? I thought it was even in the minutes.
The
That
minutes
was
are
the-
incorrect.
The question that we had
What was that?
about the minutes.
They're
I
incorrect.
remember it differently, because I thought there was consensus with them. Because I went through and tallied all the
We
numbers.
approved the minutes. I don't understand.
No,
We
we
didn't.
No,
tabled
you
it.
tabled the minutes.
Okay.
See, I know I missed some of this discussion. My memory's a million. Wasn't that the one where Mr. Hawkins was also saying, like, I'm not sure what's right, what's wrong, whatever, as far as number, but $1 million he was comfortable with?
The meeting after that, we had discussed, we had more exact numbers for what all the phases of the project were in terms of land acquisition and the actual construction costs and then the plan costs. And it was thrown around like 1.45 million at one point.
Right.
Because of the edit dollars that are not being paid for principal. And then I said, well, I don't think we really need 1.45 million, and I added all the numbers up, plus contingencies, and that came to the 1.28.
Remember,
That's the
Nathan,
discussion I remember having.
you had that sheet with the chart on it that you handed over to Kelly?
That we passed around.
Yeah, and that was, yes. But I was thinking, I'll look back through, it doesn't matter, we're doing it on the first.
Did we table the right, yeah, we tabled the right.
That's what I'm wondering, what did we do? What, we need to check the minutes.
I believe that I asked, is everyone okay with that? Or I just said, is that how we want to move forward? I didn't make a motion or anything, but.
Remember, once you go on first reading, not go up and down.
That's why I kept telling her, make sure you advertise the 1.280.
In our minutes, September 11th, 5 o'clock budget workshop, it's got like 5 pages. The very last page, the very last paragraph reads, Councilperson Yan made a recommendation for an additional appropriation of $1 million and then appropriating the money that is currently going towards a fund to go into a non-reverting fund.
Right. But then on the 18th, we had a different
It
discussion.
was the last, yes.
It was the last thing we discussed. So I made the
1 hour,
motion.
21 minutes and 20 seconds.
Do you want to send out the link since you already found it? Just send
You
it.
know, you sent me a
to
text saying the
everybody.
same thing.
Where it was
Is that the
discussed.
same quote as
Are we,
as he's asking for?
That wasn't the
So-
Then it'll show up, it'll show up then.
That was in the 11th meeting, that was not in the 18th meeting.
What's the same spot?
so then we did table the wrong minutes then?
No, we absolutely did not table the
Okay.
wrong
It was,
minutes.
it was the last,
to those minutes and go back through them for the 18th.
it was
Yeah, we tabled
It was the last meeting that I was at, which I only missed the September 20th meeting for being out of town. So
Right.
I'm almost positive it was the 18th meeting, which
It
was,
was.
Yeah,
we've
we
had several discussions about the Spring Street project
Right,
in workshops.
okay.
I thought just one quick thing, I thought the 265 was coming from UEZ, that's what was discussed.
That's why we're at 1.28,
I subtracted that from
the cost.
the 1 point, yeah.
Because if you remember, the design was going to be 500,000, and the first phase was just over $1 million, which is how we got to that number, subtract the UEZ number,
Yes.
1.28.
And then contingencies.
So the motion was to amend,
Amend to 1.2?
1.28.
28?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
And I'll make a motion to approve 2017 OR 73 as amended on the first and second.
Second.
I got a motion and a second to approve the amended additional appropriation. All those in favor? I did have a motion, yeah. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Do we have a city council attorney report tonight?
Once again, I have nothing.
Okay. And, okay, Eric was here, but he's gone, so I don't think there's any department head meeting. Was there any public comment? What?
Also, Kim is still here.
Kim, just Kim.
Oh,
No public comment?
no public comment? Kim, you didn't need to speak at department heads, did you? You didn't need to speak at department heads, did you? And that's, okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Has it gone out?
It just came, yes, and there was water all over the floor the other day.
Say it was very hot in here.
No.
Okay, then we will move to our council comments. Councilperson White.
No comments?
Councilperson Itzy.
I have a question for Heather. So the police pension, we had additional dollars this year that we were going to allocate, I guess, in part because of the reduction that the state told us we have to put in there. Has that reduction been taken into account for next year's budget? Did you reduce the... Because that may help to solve the deficit we have. Thank you.
Councilperson Young.
The only thing I have is that next week is the AIM conference in Evansville. I was originally asked to be a panelist, but got booted out by the governor coming and speaking, and that's okay with me. So I will still be in attendance all 3 days. I'm looking forward to it. I'll bring back all of the knowledge that I learn. Hope to get maybe some creative solutions to similar issues that we've had, and so I'll report on that on our next meeting.
And congratulations on your recent engagement. We were happy.
Thank you.
Are you engaged?
She's engaged.
I am.
Councilperson Owen.
Just want to ask if we can schedule a workshop for a special meeting to further discuss the budget. The 9th is Columbus Day, but I'm good if everybody else is.
Sorry, we won't be here.
It's a Monday.
Be here.
I was going to do that at the end, but schedule.
Okay, if you want to
We can do
schedule it
that
at the
now.
end, that's
since we're
fine.
doing it. I just didn't
I
have
have
my
nothing
calendar up.
else.
No, that's
Nothing
okay.
else.
We'll schedule it now.
The 9th, the 10th, the 12th, sounds like the 9th is out for the clerk's office, which I guess that
Well,
is
I think Heather and them too.
it's a
Finance.
city holiday,
Yes.
so that's out.
Vicki, are you going to the conference?
I'm going to be up there the 10th.
Oh, so that whole week is bad.
I'll be back Thursday. If I could meet at like 5 on Thursday.
So,
The 12th?
What is
No, is it not just a morning?
budget?
No, it is. I can't meet I mean, that's up to you. Can you be here Thursday? She doesn't know either. Thursday, I've already got a meeting scheduled.
Did you all say the Friday the 13th? Did you all say that one was, you'd be
I'm going Thursday,
Thursday?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll be back on Monday, the 16th.
What about meeting before our council meeting on the 16th?
For me?
5 or 6?
Oh,
I
five.
say 5, the rate we're going, yes.
We just make it a noon lunch and stay through.
A special
I can do
meeting.
that.
A very special meeting.
So you please schedule the special meeting for 5 o'clock before, and that does work for Heather and for 5 o'clock. Does that work for you?
Once you go ahead.
Give me some, 5 o'clock works much better, because I'll need some time to review.
Oh.
Or be better?
She'll have to have it redone for the 7 o'clock meeting.
Yeah.
So that's not going to work. That's not going to give her enough time.
Yeah.
At least.
You need a half hour?
Depending on how many
Changes.
changes you make.
So do we
Hopefully
need,
a lot.
so if we meet, then we have to meet earlier than the 5 o'clock?
I can't meet earlier, I have to work.
Or another day prior.
4:30 is the earliest.
Or we schedule another, I don't know.
Could we schedule a meeting on the 17th for just the budget? If we approve it the 16th, or go through the special meeting on the 16th, and then have just that on the 17th.
Another meeting?
16th I have, in the notification was the adoption.
Yes.
Yes.
So it has to be adopted on the 16th?
Yes.
That's thought we asked that last meeting and they said by November 1st.
That's what I thought.
Somebody, that's why we asked.
Here, it's got it right here. I got it right here. Adoption meeting date, Monday, October 16th, adoption time 7 PM. And that's on the DLGF.
That just popped in my head.
Yeah.
And that can't be changed.
I don't know. You
Yeah.
can extend it.
I mean, if that's the case, why,
This isn't hard.
the drop dead date was November 1st, not October 16th.
I don't know the answer to that.
And I'll say hypothetically that we won't get to it at 7 PM, so we're going to be adopting it later than 7 PM.
Right.
I think what happened is what, the reason you put that date down is because of entering everything in, because we had that discussion. Making sure you had time to enter everything in to the gateway changes or anything.
Well, usually the
Because we had,
hearing is the first meeting.
Right.
And then the adoption is the second meeting.
yes.
Just so that you don't have to have any special.
Well, and instead of at 5 o'clock, what if we do 4:30 before our council meeting?
Mhm.
I don't know that that's the main day. That's why.
See, I thought that you could do it later than that.
You could, but you haven't, but it's published that way in the
I mean,
DL.
you have
That's
to have a second.
We can just make a motion on that, at that meeting, that we'll do it on a different day.
Well, it's just, I think this is submitted.
Health insurance, is that what?
I might be able to change the adoption date. I'm not sure. I haven't called the
But if we schedule,
hearing date, I think was important. Tonight wasn't important.
so to be safe, if we schedule, just to schedule whether we do it or not, 4:30 before our next council meeting. And if we do make progress there, will that give you, if not, then we'll just have to, in the meantime, we're going to have to find out what can or cannot be done. But let's go ahead and schedule it so we have something on the books while everybody's here.
And if it,
So we'll adjust that to 4:30 for
If
the
we can
special
extend
meeting.
it, then we know going
Then
in
we'll-
that
and
way.
if,
Exactly.
and if we couldn't extend it, and if we agree to whatever it's going to be on the 16th, then we could take a break or recess toward the end of the meeting, let her make the change. It may be a late meeting, but let her make the change, or do a handwritten change and we vote on
We'll
that.
do what we
I don't
have to
know.
do.
Yeah.
If we have to
that's the
recess
only
in order to
option
do
we
it, then
have.
we'll have to do it.
So I'll understand, so the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, won't be able to meet.
Right.
No time this week, earliest you can meet this week, you want it to be Thursday.
No, because they,
Well, which I
No.
mean,
none of those could meet Thursday, I didn't think.
No, we talked
The
about the,
5th, you talked about the 12th.
We're talking
Oh.
about Thursday the 5th.
what about the 5th?
Oh, I can't meet the 12th.
Yeah.
The 5th.
Will you do the 12th? Or I'm sorry, the 5th?
yeah, we did kind of go right into next week.
Yeah, that's
didn't
what I
we?
was gonna do.
Yeah.
I think if you all can.
Just trying to give everybody
Okay,
a break.
so we can do October 5th,
I can do,
as long as it's time for you to get back, right?
Ed,
She
are you
doesn't
here?
leave till 10.
I'm traveling, I'm not sure, but
And I can't do last quarter of the 5th. I'm gonna have a procedure done on my eyes.
Okay.
That's out.
So there you go.
You're back to the
And
16th.
later.
Scott is out of
Late,
town,
I
so-
can make it. If it was like 7 or something, I can make it.
Yeah, it's a Friday.
It doesn't.
I have class.
I'm not giving them my Fridays.
Oh, really?
Y'all can do
And
13th.
so is this week Thursday the only day that works for people? Is that-
Yes.
Well, they can't.
Let's do the
Ron
16th.
can't.
I can't meet the 5th.
Yeah.
Everybody can do the 16th, right?
16th at 5 or 16th at 4, anyone knows?
4:30?
4:30 for the 16th.
What about the 13th, the Friday at noon?
I can't do the 13th.
Neither can I.
No Fridays.
Oh, we're going to make sure as many people can be here as possible, so,
Can you make 4:30, Dustin?
Yes.
So, and then after we find out about the ability to change that day, we'll do that tomorrow.
Yes.
Everybody will get a massive email if you all want to try to massage this whole concept of their email to get the notice correctly. That's probably appropriate as well. Right?
okay.
Okay. Cool.
Did you have anything else?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Busy time of the
Councilperson,
year.
Councilperson Ellis?
I have nothing.
Councilperson Samuel?
Two things. Just FYI, this Thursday, the Indiana Art Commission is hosting, up in Indianapolis, the Indiana Arts Homecoming, and our arts administrator, Don Spiker, is on a panel representing Jeffersonville. And don't know much more than that about it, but it's nice to be recognized for that. And the second thing is, we had a presentation tonight from the community and schools, and they're a positive group, and they do good work with kids. Just food for thought, because money's tight and all. We do have an economic development fund where we get money that comes in from abatements and such that goes into that fund. And to this point, the only thing we use that fund is for One Southern Indiana's dues. And we're bringing in more than the 30 a year for the dues. If I'm not making a motion or anything to move forward with that, but food for thought, that may be an area, because they kept talking about economic development, and whether it's Councilperson Owen or White mentioned, that's where it starts at kids, economic development. That's what triggered my mind on that. So
I think it's a great
food
idea.
for thought.
I agree.
And that's all I have. Congratulations, Kelly.
Okay, Kim did bring up where she would like to see, but I think we need to get budget. Is there a time frame that we need to do a workshop with HR on the salary ordinance?
I'd like to have it done by the end of the year, obviously.
Okay.
And the thing is, kind of like last year when we had the discussion on some of that movement, it's very similar this year. The time is pretty ripe that if we move, before too awful long, the financial impact is very minimal.
So if we get the budget workshops out of the way, then we can schedule with you before it's...
And I'll
be okay.
probably know more, like I said, Christine and I are meeting with, and Les are meeting with the consultant Thursday.
Okay.
So we've got like 4 hours pretty much set aside.
So, question, Kim. All right, for clarity, that meeting with the consultant, is that going to be recommending possibly increasing salary or wages for certain staff members and for next year? Because if so, we're about ready to approve the budget, and then we lock it in, and then it's almost like this, we should have done this
Right.
a month ago.
Right.
Well, if I remember, Kim, this was brought up to your...
Last year.
Okay.
So,
So I guess, then we should expect to...
yes and
From that
no.
meeting,
I'm hopeful that with enough of internal movement, and I mean, we're trying to obviously have it take place in a way that has very limited financial impact. And to your point, yes, it would have been ideal to have it bundled together, and that's pretty much always been the case. Christine and I both had family health issues that took us away from work quite a bit and took our attention away, and then Liz was out of the country for over a month, and then once we started getting into it and digging into the weeds and really looking into it, it got to be considerably more complicated than...
Budget workshop meetings?
Yeah, pretty much. And so, Heather and Les and I all agreed that it was just too much to have to throw at you guys now with all the other things that are going on. So I'm hoping, and some of it's just a matter of movement in terms of pay grades. It may be moving people in and out of pay grades. For example, I know one thing that's one of the recommendations is the vehicle maintenance apparatus person is maybe creating more of a skilled labor and do some kind of like a 4A pay grade or a 3A, kind of like a sub-pay grade, so that one, there's not compression within the pay grade, but yet not making all these changes to the pay grade that would throw people into a different pay grade that would create different compensations. So trying to create it in a way that doesn't have a financial impact. So I can't guarantee that if I were a compensation specialist, I wouldn't be working here, so, no offense, but if I could do what she does, I'd be out, and that's why we hire her to do that. But it's pretty interesting, and we've got a lot of really good data. To our advantage, we've had quite a bit of turnover in the street department. So we're starting in a position that we don't have a whole lot of long-term folks in which to try to bring back up. And along with that, I think it's probably time to revisit the salary administration policy. You know, part of the problem with our, I think, internal compression has to do with we still have that piece in our policy that indicates that employees can't be hired any higher than that 25% of the range. We are losing a lot of really good candidates because we're locked into the 25%. So we get people that come to us with impeccable credentials and we can't start them higher than that. They either turn away or they start here and then they leave because there's really not a whole lot of movement up. So there are a whole lot of variables, and I know you'll all probably be bored stiff by the time we have the meeting, but it's pretty interesting if you just kind of get into it. And it'll be grueling. It won't be a lot of fun probably, but it's going to be worse the longer we prolong it and the more we table it and don't discuss it. The impact, as you all who've been here for years, Nathan and Ed recall, and Lisa, you were here, you know, the painful part is, you know, letting it go for years and years and years and then starting, and then that impact is, you know, close to $100,000. You know, if we continue to revisit it and do it accordingly, that impact financially is much less.
If you just shoot me off some dates, you and I will sit down and we'll try to get...
Let us get past
some
Thursday and
get
see...
some bullet points set up for a workshop so we know we
Absolutely.
Some sort of agenda, and we'll get that going.
And I will make sure that Liz gets the condensed version and not the...
Okay.
Is that good?
That's
So
good.
I'll just talk to you then Thursday afternoon or Friday.
That's
And
perfect.
on a side note, our employee appreciation luncheon is Friday. We're having the hot dog man, what's he called again?
Dogs on the Run.
Dogs on the Run, thank you.
Missing part.
You all should have gotten like an email, so that's a Bissing Park Friday. So please come out and... Pardon me?
Excuse me. I was trying
Sure.
to download something.
Yeah, we'll plan that too, so. But I know employees would love to have you all come, so hopefully we've got some door prizes too if they arrive. They've not arrived yet.
If they arrive.
They were guaranteed to be here today, and so.
It's today.
It's today. Oh, yeah. Connie got them. Pardon me?
When is this?
11:30 to 1:30. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to throw it out there just as a courtesy notification to the president. Whenever a department head seems to be upset or concerned or whatever, to maybe give me a text, an email or something so I know, because we could have avoided a lot in this 100,000 because didn't know that there was any issues with that. So just as a courtesy, if you all could, somebody could.
Well, there are several department heads that are upset. If we want to talk after the meeting.
Okay.
Several.
That'll be good if you...
One quick thing, Council President. There was I sent you all the cities and towns bulletin from September. One of them I just thinking about when she was talking about salaries, it says Parks and Recreation Board Member salaries. It says in here, Indiana Code 361039 allows for salaries to be paid to the board members and also provides that per diem could be paid towards board members for attending meetings. But I think, so that's something you all may want to take a look at for the salary ordinance too.
There was a motion made at the Parks Authority meeting to give the board members for the Parks Authority a per diem for each meeting, but I don't know if Paul or anyone ever followed up on it.
Yeah, that would have to be, they don't have the ability to approve that. I mean, it would have to come through us through the salary ordinance.
It says meeting the boards in amounts appropriated and approved by the council.
Yeah. Now that one of the changes in the salary ordinance was giving the building authority $100 a meeting or whatever it was, $100 a month, and that action actually makes the Parks Authority, I think, the last board that is uncompensated.
Yeah, public arts.
And public arts, you're right, I'm sorry.
Those are the only two.
So those are the only two if we want to consider that, but I don't think it's necessary right now since we're already $500,000 in the hole.
No, I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Meeting adjourned.